I want to start today with some explosive video from testimony given by the founder of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, before a Senate panel. Now, we're going to look at exchanges between Mark Zuckerberg and two Republican senators, Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz. I am not playing these videos because I think Hawley and Cruz have done anything particularly noble or interesting. In fact, I think that they're opportunists, and I think that they just want to create confrontations to make them look big and strong and powerful. But I think that there is a lot of interesting stuff here with regard to how Mark Zuckerberg handles a lot of these questions. Many of these questions were about families impacted by child sexual exploitation online. Facebook, in some cases, was a vessel for that. And this is an incredible moment at which Mark Zuckerberg actually stands up and addresses the families of the victims. Take a look at this, and then we'll discuss it.
Said you mischaracterized.
37% of teenage girls between 13 and 15 were exposed to unwanted nudity in a week on Instagram. You knew about it. Who did you fire?
Senator, this is why we're building all
Who did you fire?
Tools.
Now, obviously, the answer here is we would never discuss HR and personnel records in a setting like this. If you want to go private, maybe it's something we can talk about. I think eventually he gets to that.
Senator, I don't think that's.
Who did you fire?
I'm not going to answer that.
Because you didn't fire anybody, right? You didn't take any significant action.
It's appropriate to talk about like
it's not appropriate.
HR decisions.
Do you know who's sitting behind you? You've got families from across the nation whose children are either severely harmed or gone.
Now, of course, they're sitting there because of the theater that these Republicans have opted to concoct. So with all of these things, you've got the underprepared CEO, but you've also got political theater that doesn't actually fix anything.
And you don't think it's appropriate to talk about steps that you took? The fact that you didn't fire a single person? Let me ask you this. Have you compensated any of the victims?
Sorry?
Have you compensated any of the victims? These girls, have you compensated them?
I don't believe so.
Why not? Don't you think they deserve some compensation for what your platform has done? Help
Senator,
with counseling services, help with dealing with the issues that your services caused?
Our job is to make sure that we build tools to help keep people safe.
Are you going to compensate them?
Senator, our job and what we take seriously is making sure that we build industry-leading tools to find harmful content,
make money,
take it off the services,
to make money,
and to build tools that
Josh Hawley never prioritized making money.
Empower parents.
So you didn't take any action. You didn't take any action. You didn't fire anybody. You haven't compensated a single victim. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. There's families of victims here today. Have you apologized to the victims? Would you like to do so now?
Well,
they're here. You're on national television. Would you like now to?
Now, for those who are just listening today and not watching, Zuckerberg will now stand. It's sort of hard to hear what he says, but it is audible.
Apologize to the victims who have been harmed by your product. Show them the pictures. Would you like to apologize for what you've done to these good people?
I'm sorry for everything you've all answered. It's terrible. No one should have to go through the things that your families have suffered. And this is why we invested so much and are going to continue doing industry-leading efforts to make sure that no one has to go through the types of things that your families have had to suffer.
So he's essentially saying he's sorry for what people have had to go through, and this is why they take on industry-leading efforts to make sure it doesn't happen again. You know, the sad reality of this is that a lot of people will see this and they'll say, wow, Zuckerberg did really terribly, or he did really well, or Josh Hawley really got one over on him, or Josh Hawley made himself out to be a fool. What I care about from my government is action. And this was not a hearing about resolution, constructive discussion, solutions. This was theater. And you can simultaneously come away from something like this, believing that Josh Hawley is an absolute disgrace, that Mark Zuckerberg was arguably underprepared, but that this is not even a format that hypothetically is going to get us any solutions when it comes to what's happening with exploitation online. Here's another opportunist, Ted Cruz. ramping up in the exact same way.
Instagram also displayed the following warning screen to individuals who were searching for child abuse material. These results may contain images of child sexual abuse. And then you gave users two choices: get resources or see results anyway. Mr. Zuckerberg, what the hell were you thinking?
All right, Senator. The basic science behind that is that when people are searching for something that is problematic, it's often helpful to, rather than just blocking it, to help direct them towards something that could be helpful for getting them to get help.
In what, I understand get resources. In what sane universe is there a link for see results anyway?
Well, because we might be wrong. We try to trigger this warning, or we tried to, when we think that there's any chance that the results.
Okay, you might be
harmful.
wrong. Let me ask you: how many times was this warning screen displayed?
I don't know, but
you don't know. Why don't you know?
I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. But
Well, you know what, Mr. Zuckerberg? It's interesting you say you don't know it off the top of your head, because I asked it in June of 2023 in an oversight letter, and your company refused to answer.
So listen, does any of us think that Mark Zuckerberg is excelling here? I don't know. I didn't hear from any of you who thought Mark Zuckerberg did really well. But does any one of us think that Ted Cruz's motivations here are anything short of auditioning to get on Hannity last night, rather than what he wants us to believe he's doing, which is expressing his concern for the kids or whatever the case may be? There are real issues here. But for me, when I watch these hearings, some people watch these and they come away with primarily the failure of government. Sometimes they watch these hearings and they come away with primarily the failures of the CEOs and the private corporations. I come away thinking that there is a total failure here in terms of the structure of how we even figure things out. And I know that many in the audience are desperate for different sorts of settings in which problems can be solved. Obviously, the issue of child sexual exploitation and exploitation in general online is a major issue. But these events are nothing more than grandstanding. If I were to give the most positive possible spin for these hearings, it would be, even though nothing is accomplished at the hearings, people who otherwise wouldn't know about these issues become aware of them. And then maybe they go out and become activists in the real world for change. I don't know. Even I'm feeling like it's a pretty shaky premise. Let me know what you think. Next time you're shopping online, getting someone a gift, check out our sponsor, Deal Dash. You can get some great deals. Here's how it works. When stores and warehouses have excess merchandise, they send it to Deal Dash for cheap. So Deal Dash can sell it to you for pennies on the dollar. And we're only talking about brand new items, nothing used at all. You buy bids up front to auction on the items. For example, $30 for 400 bids. Every auction starts at $0. There's no minimum. Each bid increases the price by a penny. If no one bids only 10 seconds after you bid, you win. And the important part is, if you don't win, you can still choose to buy the item for the listed price and get your bids back and use them for something else. That's why a lot of people really like the Deal Dash system. Right now, I'm bidding on this nice casserole dish. I've been meaning to get one for a while. And if I can get a really good price on Deal Dash, even better. Everybody can find something they need on Deal Dash. Go to dealdash.com/Pacman. You will get 100 free bids with your first bid pack purchase when you use my promo code Pacman. The link is down below.